Our world is making us sick. Have you noticed this yet? I want to offer you an interesting point of view. Our biology is hundreds of millions of years old. It isn't actually designed for our modern lifestyle. And we tend to take our modern lifestyle for granted. We are basically just born, we see the world as it's kind of currently operating, and we think that this is just what life is and this is just how life works, when it actually isn't. Everything that we're seeing in the modern world is actually highly unusual from a historical point of view. We've never had this much access to stimulation, screens, artificial lighting. We've never had to work 40-hour work weeks where we sit down at a desk staring into a screen. We have never had this much processed junk food. We've never had our meats be contaminated by steroids and growth hormones. So there's a lot that we take for granted. There's a lot that we overlook because we need to adapt to our current context in order to survive. So we don't really look at things from a larger picture because we're too focused on surviving within our modern times. So if our biology is hundreds of millions of years old, that means that it wasn't designed for this modern time. We have to actually look at the environments that our biology was designed for. What does that look like? There's no artificial lighting. There's a lot of exposure to nature, hunter-gatherer style communities, and very close-knit communities. There's a lot of social interaction. Their diet is most definitely not McDonald's or cheeseburgers or whatever, no processed artificial stuff. And there's a lot of walking. There's a lot of physical activity. They're moving their bodies quite a lot. They're not sitting at their computer for 40 hours a week, just kind of doing their job. Now let's compare that environment with the modern environment. There are extreme amounts of stress from overworking and overstimulation. Of course, like I mentioned a few times now, 40-hour work weeks where we're staring into screens while being trapped in a cubicle. There's a larger emphasis on urban living and less exposure to nature. There's a lot of artificial lighting. We have highly processed junk foods that manipulate our biology into craving them and getting addicted to them so that companies can profit. We have advertisements that target and manipulate our psychology and our instincts and confuse us internally. You can learn more about that by watching my video, How Society Exploits You. So these are very different environments, and there's ups and downs to both of these environments. And I'm not saying that we go back to how life was hundreds of millions of years ago to like just living as hunter-gatherers. But what I am saying is that because we're so out of balance with our original blueprint, with our more original nature, this is going to cause a lot of problems. This is going to cause mental health problems. This is going to lead to an increase in things like ADHD. This is a big reason as to why there's so much emotional repression and a lack of emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence within our modern world. And it's not something that we can maintain for long because of how unnatural it actually is, because of how out of alignment it is with who we really are. So I'm not saying that we go back to just living as tribes, although we do need to learn how to have supportive communities. We are typically very individual, hyper individuals in the Western world. What I am saying is that we have to take a lot of the healthiest aspects of our history and where we really came from and what our biology is designed for, and we have to integrate that into our lives because this is a major part of just being a healthy human. So we need to get in touch with healthier ways of being. We need to actually not eat processed junk foods. We have to actually connect with other human beings. We actually need like social interactions. Most people are completely lacking in this. They don't know how to create a supportive community around them. They don't know how to find high quality friends that are built off of, the relationship is built off of similar values. In fact, going out and getting help from a community, which is what our ancestors used to do all the time. They all supported each other in a lot of different ways. Doing that is often seen as weakness nowadays because we value just being such hyper individuals and just working hard and I'm self-made. Right? This is not normal whatsoever. This is highly unusual, actually. So we have to address things like screen addiction. We have to address our culture's tendency to overwork and create unnecessary stress. We have to actually spend time in nature almost every single day. Nature is essential for a healthy mind. It's not just like a hippy-dippy thing, I'm going out into the trees. This is where you came from. This is a healing experience to the human psyche. We can't just lock ourselves up in boxes all day and walk on concrete. We actually have to connect with the earth in a very natural way. We have to set boundaries with things that cause all sorts of illnesses within us, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual sickness within us. Some examples of that are like TV, unhealthy advertisements, of course, like I said, screen addictions, and basically a lot of the stuff that I was previously mentioning. And we have to build genuine emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence into the youth at a very young age. These are very critical parts of human existence that are very deeply overlooked by the Western world, which is why we do not have a highly emotionally intelligent culture or a highly spiritually intelligent culture. In fact, a lot of this stuff is just like swept under the rug, and in a lot of cases, spiritual intelligence is denied entirely by people. It's not even seen as a valid form of intelligence because that's how low our spiritual intelligence actually is. So our technology has the capacity to greatly enhance our lives and help us to self-actualize, self-transcend, make life a lot easier, make life a lot healthier, but it also has the capacity to manipulate our biology, manipulate our psychology, get us addicted to things like Instagram and scrolling. I seriously recommend checking out my video, How Society Exploits You, so you can be more aware of that. And basically, we want to actually monitor our relationship to technology. Unfortunately, most people use their smartphones and their laptops and their computers to just mindlessly and continuously distract themselves from their life and their mind and their problems, their emotions from the present experience. We're using our technology to disassociate and to just get instant gratification, right? Our food is in a lot of cases just engineered to basically just stimulate you. Like, we're literally treating food as entertainment. We're not treating food as like, how do I nourish my body so that like I can function properly? We're using food as like, I'm bored, I'm gonna go eat and I want something to just like get me excited. So a lot of the ways that we've used our technologies are to exploit people, manipulate them, create addictions, cravings, and just create sickness, right? And it has the exact opposite capacity to it as well. So I recommend checking out my video, Use the Internet Properly. I'm going to tell you exactly how to actually use the internet to build up your life. That's it for this video. I offer one-to-one coaching. You can book a free call. Link is in the description. Take it easy.